because I'm a foodie, so I have to associate food with pie. But I like that about myself. And when we think of Thanksgiving at this time of year, we think about our loved ones, people we have at our table, where we plan, prepare, and we share our feast with those that we are thankful for in our lives. And we have the traditional food of turkey, stuffing, cranberries, potatoes, my favorite, green bean casserole. And we also end our meal with a dessert, if we have room, right? By now we've unbuttoned our pants. Everything's uncomfortable. But we always have room for that pie to fill in those gaps. But pie is more than just the closing of the meal and the dessert. It's also a symbol today to reflect within. We have heard the term humble pie, which is today's talk. I know it of two ways. One is the idiom where they talk about to eat one's words, or when you're embarrassed and humiliated for an error that you made. And then there's the actual humble pie, which is a medieval pastry, meat pastry, that they ate. And the servants would eat the organ parts because the royalty would get all the nice, tender meat. But in my house, everybody's still running for the gizzards and stuff like that. So I think that's probably the prize, right? So has anybody in here made a pie before? Nobody be shy. Okay, one. Okay, great. We got a lot. That's great. So when you made your pie, can you tell me some of the steps that you did to do that? Because there's actually quite a big process in making a pie.
And to roll the dough or mix the dough.
Yeah, to mix the dough.
Pour yourself a stiff drink.
Yes. Pour yourself a stiff drink. Janice, I saw you raise your hand.
Then you have to figure out your filling. You have to make your filling.
Perfect. And that, yes.
And you have to roll it out to fit in your pie.
Right? The dough is like the longest process of maturation, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Right? The crust, yes.
Unless it's strawberry.
Unless it's strawberry, right?
And then it's about 4 hours.
Yes. So we have that. And that's really the big process there is the creation process, the thought process that comes into our mind. What kind of pie am I going to make? To me, the important part is the filling. It's the stuff that we put in it, right? It's a metaphor within. What do we put in our pie? That allows that flavor to linger. That is the definition of who we are. So after you have baked your pie and everything, how does it taste? Somebody? Everybody tastes yummy, right? Oh my gosh, it's so good. Warm. Yes, all that, right? So hopefully today, after I share this talk with you, you're going to create your own humble pie and walk away with that warm, full filling. The other day I was talking with my kids and my husband. I said, if you had a theme song, what would that be? And that's a big question because you're like, I only get to pick one song that represents who I am. And of course, Jaren, as you guys know him, I got the power, right? I was like, okay. Okay, after that I forgot what everybody else said. But I want you to look at it in this term. If you had your VIPs over, to come over to your house, and you had a table with all your spreads, would humble pie be a theme on that table? You know, I used to think humble meant weak and meek, weak spices, weak herbs. But in fact, it's not that at all. And have any of you, like, when you went researching on the website, you're clicking, and you're looking up humble pie, and next thing you know, it's leading you to other pages, and you're like, how did I even get here? Well, it led me to humility. And I found that, whoa, am I staying? Okay. I found that they both share the same root word, which is hummus. Again, food right there, I love it, right? But that means grounded from the earth, low. That was definitely not what I thought that meant. And if we go back to humble pie, those main ingredients in that dish are liver, kidneys, the lungs, and your heart. The things that make us function, the things that allow us to have this very grounded earthly experience, our stuffing, our filling, right? And so, allow me to believe that I hope today that you see that you might have some of these ingredients, this stuffing, these fillings that actually make humble pie, and that you might favor it as one of your favorite recipes on your theme table. So what are the ingredients to humble pie? Well, the ingredients of humility and humbleness are right here, and I'm going to talk about that. People that have these ingredients, one, lead by example. That pretty much says it in itself. They lead an example by respect, obedience, organization. They practice self-control, meaning that they know when to put the ego in balance, when to be humble, and when you need to step up in pride. They practice respect. Respect of the people above us and those below us, whether we're in a profession or life in general. Or in some family cultures, our kapunas, our ancestors, our elders, right? They respect those words, even though there really is no rank, if we really come down to it. They have grace, meaning that they know when to turn the other cheek to avoid conflict and to practice harmony and peace with others. They have transparency as another ingredient. What does that mean? That means to be able to let people see through them, to say, hey, these are my limitations and these are my weaknesses, and that's okay, but I know that that's what they are. They have acceptance. They accept the station that they are in their life and know that divine timing is always on their side, a time for their ripe fruits to ripen so that they can share it with others, their blossoms. They are responsible, means that they take accountability for who they are and not blame others. But I like you to look at it in a different way. Not only responsible, but response-able. That means they take it on, and they act on that. They have communication. What I mean is it's clear and plain. They speak with gentleness, humbleness, and kindness. There's not this excessive talking that you hear some people have, right, trying to boost who they are. They meditate, meaning that they seek within that constant understanding of what is humbleness and trying to find that at one with the Creator. They're appreciative of everybody and everything in their life, and that means including God. And they build up others. They give them encouragement. They give them thankfulness for the gifts that they shared with them. And they're intuitive, meaning, if we break down the word, they lean into it, not away from it. And of course, their presence. If you've ever been around someone who is humble, like when even we read about Jesus, even though we didn't know the man, when we read, we feel him. So these people reflect that humbleness in not only their appearance, but in their presence. And you feel full when you leave. Jesus said that if we were to humble our spirit of that like a child, we shall seek the kingdom of heaven. Have any of you been around a child when they're trying to get your attention? They tug on you, right? Hey, hey. But when you have their attention, they look at you. And then they touch you on the cheek. And then they smile at you. That sheer childlike innocence. They're ready to listen to the next thing that comes out of your mouth. And they're going to trust everything you say. When they see you, they're looking at you with no color of our skin, with no size and shape of our body, with no gap of rich or poor. They're looking at you, smiling, totally trusting what you're going to tell them next because they're ready to take that into their hearts. Humility is also emphasized in a lot of religious practices and teachings. It's actually a sign of godly strength, not a weakness. It's emphasized in our relationships and our socializations. Proverbs 12:11 tells us, when comes pride, disgrace soon follows, but with humility comes wisdom. And we have all seen the expression of pride in our society. We see it in wars, we see it in poverty, disease, political turmoil, which is a lot, right? But actually, humility is a pathway to wisdom. And if we really nurture that within, we will find the God within, which is the oneness and the wholeness that we all seek. The Beatitude states that blessed are the humble in spirit, for they will find the kingdom of heaven. Humility is a part of spiritual practice, not a result of it. In fact, Gandhi said it the best. Anybody can have mere manners, but a man who prostrates himself before another, if he does not have his heart behind his words, that is not humility. For humility is a state of mind, how one feels inside. So our emotions. And within those emotions, what we feel in our heart, it reflects a posture on the outside. So our physical body. And those who possess humbleness have this great will and this great presence. They are able to keep moving forward, driving forward, putting out the external critics and the internal cynics, and growing higher and higher in their spiritual growth. They are able to pull from all the tools and resources in their life that make them whole in one. They are able to lean into life, not away from it. They lean into their weaknesses and strengths. They lean into their failures and successes. They lean into everything in the hopes that one day that they will accomplish that fruit. And what is that fruit that they hope to accomplish? Intuitive peace. Intuitive pleasure. In Galatians, it states, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, gentleness, kindness, faithfulness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. So if we really think about it, humility encompasses all the joys in the spirit of the fruit of God, the very heart of who God is. And as I was clicking along more, well, actually the night before, I woke up out of a dream saying two phrases. I told my husband, gosh, I already got this sermon already written. Now they want me to rewrite it again. I woke up saying two things. And one was the story of Jesus washing his disciples' feet. Like, okay, I know that's humbleness, but what does that really, really mean? If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash another's. For I have given you example that you should do that I have done to you. Most assuredly I say to you, a servant is not above his master, nor a master above his servant. And if you understand this, then go out and do that. So Jesus was a great example of leadership. He led by example. He created communities based on serving others. By serving others, we serve ourselves. And humility does define a role of leadership. In fact, Jim Collins from the Harvard Business Journal said that the most transformative, powerful executives and leaders are those who have personal humility and professional will. So, there's our professional life, or our avocation, or vocation, excuse me. Those who lead their businesses with their heart can endure greatness out in society and create a culture of discipline. These people are able to recognize their talents, their virtues, their characteristics, and go out and share it in the world and create a business to spread it to others. How amazing is that? that somebody believes in your vision, they see your heart, and they're willing to go with you. Sometimes we don't always do that in our role, right? Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. And that's where we lay this to our humanitarian or our service or our advocation. So sometimes, I was sharing in the early morning service, I drive to work. I am so unconscious that I don't even remember how I got there, and I can't even remember when I come out where I parked. So I have to hit that beeper on my car so it honks at me. And sometimes I'm really scared. I'm like, how did I get here and not remember? I once heard it's okay to take your emotions on the road with you, but make sure you're the driver. That leads us to our mentality. So I'm asking you, do you lead your life? Are you an unconscious driver? Do you remember how you get from A to B? Are you a road rager? Or are you a humble driver? Do you have some of these ingredients in your pantry? Actually, you might find that if you go inside, look through all your ingredients, you find that you already have them. Some of them might need to be restocked. They're empty. They've been collecting dust. Some of them might be full, or some of them are used more frequently than others. And sometimes when we look at our whole pie, we're like, oh, this is so overwhelming. I don't even know where to start. Do I really possess these qualities? Because if I'm saying I'm humble, isn't that the exact opposite of what I thought humbleness was? Which is to be, right, put our head down? But no, it's to realize your worth and to go out there and serve it. So as you're putting your ingredients together, and you realize what you have and what you don't have, or what you might need to refill, sometimes they make those spices, Freddy's seasoning, where they take a whole bunch of stuff and then they call it their own, right? So I want you to make a humble pie seasoning, right? And that is to go in there and check what you got. You're going to mix it all together. And when it's time to put it into your filling, you're going to coat it, disperse it, so you can make that perfect bite. And then you're going to bake it, right? Creating this light, fluffy crust, letting the fragrance fill the air so people know who you are when they smell and they come into the house. But most importantly, don't forget to share that pie with others. So when they leave your presence, they have that full, ooey gooey, yummy feeling, and that they want to share that with others. So, as a course, we're going to go into our homework. So you all had a circle, and you're going to draw this pie. So we're going to start with our inside of our bodies. Like I said, there's no talk without homework in Eren. So you're going to do 1 to 5. 1 being wholeness or oneness. 3, you're at the middle ground, right? And 5 needs immediate attention. Or not immediate attention, but you know where it's at. So my question today is, what is the extent of humility in your life? So we're going to break down each slice. Our filling, our stuffing, right? So, in our mental body, do you practice the self-control, the balance of the ego? Do you have access monkey chatter? That's not always the best for your body. And I'm saying not all the time. What was the proper word? Most of the time. Most of the time. Okay, go gentle on yourself most of the time. When people are talking to you, do you allow other things to come in your head? Are you thinking about your grocery list? Are you present in the moment with somebody? And that means with yourself. How about your emotional body? Are you respectful to your body? Do you communicate kindness and love to it? Do you give yourself high fives when you achieve wonders? And when it needs time to grieve, do you actually let your body grieve? How about your physical body? Does your posture reflect your heart? So if I was to walk into a room, do you know who I am just by looking at my presence? What does your presence say? Do you give it movement? Do you nourish it properly? Which I know might not, because like I said, I talk about pie. And we have pie out there, by the way, today. Curtis made a great pie in representation of today's topic. How about your spiritual body? Do you meditate to seek that oneness within and with God? Or do you have spiritual pride where you say, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to grow anymore. I'm great right where I'm at. Are you transparent and want to work on your weaknesses? And do you claim your strengths? Okay, now we're going to move to the outside of our body, parts that we share with others that make us who we are. So let's start with your inner circle. How are your relationships with your inner circle and family? Are you engaged or are you a spectator? Do you lean into it or do you lean away from it when you think you got to go over to a family social? Right? Does it give you anxiety? Does it bring up those things? How about socially? Let's go to the next part, which is your friends and all the other part right there. How are your interactions with your friends? Or better yet, with a stranger, like the person that's behind you in the grocery line? Do you smile at them? Do you acknowledge them? Or do you just keep doing what you always do? Or even the driver that cut you off. Let's go about that, right? Back to leading our car, right? Do we breathe? Or are we saying a whole bunch of mental chatter? Or sometimes it comes out in physical chatter? Okay? Sometimes there's physical expressions as well with that. Right? Do you lead examples to others? I mean, do you help build your friends up? Or are they there just to listen to you, dump or whatever, So are you practicing the same? How about your profession and vocation? Oh, okay, I know. How is humility expressed there amongst your coworkers and your management? Or if you're an entrepreneur, how is your customer service skills? Do you dread talking to people? Or are you like, okay, I can do this. I can get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? Do you practice grace by turning the other cheek to work toward peace and harmony to avoid conflict? Grace. Whoops, grace. That was graceful. I'm demonstrating our topic today too. And do you practice being acceptance, being okay with where you're at in your job or in life in general? I know, that's all. Okay. And finally, your advocation or your humanitarian in your service work. Are you doing your passions? Are you offering your gifts and talents to the world? And are you serving your heart?
I'm 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I got to know. Okay, that's okay. For a long time, most of my life, 30-something years, I didn't even know what that was. What is my passion? Because I had so much other stuff that I had to work through. And now I realize my passion is children. And when I'm around them, watch out, right, Curtis? Watch out. So I am so filled up, and everybody else becomes filled up because I'm filled up. And that's how it should be when people leave our presence. I'm like, how do I maintain this feeling all the time? Because then I go back into work, and it goes like this again. But I'm so scared, like what me and Deidre were saying, to step out on that limb. But we should all be leading with our heart. Man, that would be so much different this world would be, right? So now after I talk to you today, would you want humble pie to be on your table? Good. And I hope that you can see that you actually are humble pie. And I hope you make it a part of your theme.